Hello everyone, I have found my latest addiction and it is a Garden Life, a cozy simulator. This is a wonderful, beautiful, cozy garden simulator and I have a full review on it if you haven't learned anything about the game but you want to know more whether you should purchase it, and I'll link that below. This game is now available on PC and some consoles, but the Switch release is coming on the 14th of March if you're a Switch only player. I have played a lot of hours in a short period of time, and there are just a few things that maybe I wish I'd known before I started playing, just so that I went into the game not totally blind. But now I'm here, I've done the hard work for you, and I'm going to share these tips, hints, and just general knowledge with you today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing is worth knowing before you even head into the game, and that is that you have 4 slots available for saving. This is important because there are 2 game modes available, story mode and creative mode. Now you may only want one save for your story, but having multiple for creative purposes definitely opens up a lot of possibilities, and there is so many nice decorations in the game. You may want to make multiple gardens because they are beautiful, let's face it. When you get into the game, you may also want to familiarize yourself with the settings. This is a first player view game, and although I didn't have any issues with motion sickness personally, I know some people will struggle, and with that, I do recommend having just a play around and see what works best for you. I have also heard some streamers say that this issue isn't as bad when you play with controller. There is also some accessibility settings for those of you that may need them, particularly if you're colorblind, and you can adjust the sound settings as well to suit your needs so they're not so overwhelming, and this may be helpful, particularly maybe if like the rain's too loud for you and you just want to adjust it. So when you do get into the game, the tutorial will go over most of the things for you that you need to know about the general gameplay, and I would recommend going into the story mode before going into the creative mode. It might just help you get used to the game and generally what happens, because you still need to grow the flowers in the creative mode. The tutorial is quite well done, but if you're like me and you don't pay attention all the time, or you may have missed something, then inside the shed you will find a book that you can refer to. I didn't find myself referring to the book too much as the information in it is pretty basic, but there are some helpful pictures, which is good if you are a visual learner. The book is, however, super useful to keep track of your flowers and seeds that you have identified. You may notice little white dots, which will become more colourful as you learn more different plants as you progress. Another super important thing in the shed is your storage. This is divided into 3. You have a decoration storage, a flower storage, and a tool storage. The storage has plenty of space. I literally kept clicking to see what the cap was, but when I got over 100 pages, I got so bored. So just know it is a very large storage. I will, however, say that within the storage, the organization is lacking a bit, but there is honestly no need to stress about having enough space because there is so much. Another thing which is super handy is that when collecting flowers, seeds and furniture, and if your backpack is full, the item will be automatically transferred to the storage for you, so you're not going to get any like error messages telling you that your storage is too full or your inventory is too full and then you have to run back and then come and collect it. There's none of that, which is a great bonus. I do, however, recommend that if you are picking up new seeds that you haven't learned before, you will know this because the new ones will be a purpley pink glow as opposed to green, that you do have an empty space in either your inventory or your backpack, so that when it comes to finding it in your storage later, you don't have to traipse through all of your flowers, all of your seeds. It just makes it a lot easier as there's no sort of like glow or anything to tell you that that item is new. Your flower storage will fill up pretty quickly with lots of leaf piles, so it is definitely worth making use of the fertilizer bin by transferring some leaf piles over there once in a while. However, do not turn all of your leaves into fertilizer, as you can use some of them to craft items with in the workbench. In particular, wrapping paper, which is a crafting item that can be used in other recipes. Another item you may pick up in the beginning and be like, what do I do with this now? Where do I get more stones and rocks? Because they won't naturally spawn. You can, however, purchase them from the shop in the village square later on. So don't panic about using them. They are needed for a quest early on, so do keep hold of them. Don't craft with them straight away, just keep hold of them. Elsewhere in your shed, you will also find the weather on the wall, which gives you a forecast for the days ahead. It also tells you on the left-hand side which season you're in. There are 2 pet cats in the game, and one of them is on your desk also. You can pet this cat for some cute heart emotes, but it doesn't really do a lot else than that. But cats are generally there to look cute, so who can complain about that? There is also a clock on the wall of your shed, but you can also access this with some hotkeys as well. It will display on the right hand side of your screen, so that's handy. Speaking of time, there are days in this game, but I never felt once pressed to get things done, and the day to night cycle was pretty chill. I did even find myself going to bed early on a few occasions just to speed up the plant growth early on. You'll be alerted when the day ends, but I never got kicked out of my garden, and I could still do things after this notification, which was good, so you really don't have to panic if you didn't manage to get all of your flowers watered beforehand. I would, however, recommend that if you are trying to build up a stockpile, make sure that you have pruned them before you head to bed so that you have lots of cuttings and they'll be regrown again in the morning. So outside of the garden, there is of course the village square, and there are a few easy ways to get to the shop. You can use the sign out front or the bike, or if you want to get your sets in, you can walk down the street. Early on, you'll be given some tools as part of the storyline. However, some you will have to specifically buy at Leslie's shop too. I will say that just because a tool is free in the shop doesn't mean that you should buy 1,000 of them. I know it's very tempting, but I haven't yet found a way to get rid of them. I am saying this from experience because before I figured out that you could refill the pest spray for free, I did in fact do this. If you are having difficulties refilling the pest spray, I found that the easiest way to get this to work is not look at a plant and the option should appear. On most controllers it will be A, and on keyboard it is E. Sometimes you will need to give it a few taps. The shop does have a few other interesting tools too, and I have tried all of them. In order of buying priority, like which ones you should get early on, I did find that the hose was a great investment. The watering can is okay and it does its job, but it doesn't last long before you need to refill it, which by the way you can also do in the stream, not just from the tap. The hose itself does not require refilling, and it is just so much quicker and easier. It seems to cover a large area as well, which does speed up. So when you get lots of plants, you really need it. There are also sprinklers, but they are pretty expensive and they cover plants within a circle. They won't cover your whole garden. The circle is pretty large, but you are going to need a few of them to water your crops. The other tool I bought super early on is the Harvest Seed Bag, and this just literally allows you to whiz around the garden collecting all of the seeds really easily. It is definitely a time saver, and as you start to put your plants in pots and decorate, sometimes those seeds can get a little bit hard to reach, so definitely another great purchase. I also found the trowel very handy for moving plants around. I would definitely recommend this. You can easily pick up the plants without having to destroy them, which would turn them back to seeds if you'd used a shovel. The quick seed fertilizer also came in handy when I was trying to make a new seed spawn. It really did speed up the process, and although I'm not sure the chance of getting a brand new seed was increased, it was nice that I was getting more seeds more quickly. I will warn you though, this habit does get a little bit expensive because they are 250 florians each time. I have also tested out the Weedington, and it does seem to pluck up weeds from a specific circle area. I will say that I didn't feel like it was all that necessary, but it does look cute, so if you're looking for a decorative item, this one could be it. It does create a nice pile of weeds for you so that you can just easily move it to wherever you want. Another tool I didn't have much use for was the sickle because I found it easy to just remove the weeds by hand, so I will say don't waste your money or inventory space on this early on. The decorative brush is super cute, but again, I would wait until later on to purchase this, as it just allows you to change decorative item styles and customize them, which is adorable, don't get me wrong, but you do not need it early on. You can multi-buy items in the shop, but that item has to stack, so such as steeds and some decorative items you can buy. If you're playing with mouse, you just need to use your scroll wheel, which is great. Okay, so that's an overview of a few things, but what about the actual gardening? Generally, the actual gardening in the game is pretty simple and easy to understand. You plant the seed, you water it, and then the plant grows. Once it's grown, you can then prune it. When it comes to pruning the bigger bushes, I did find that aiming near the base of the bush did seem to get the job done quicker. There is also a tiny white marker which does show you where the aim of the shears is, so you know what is going to chop. Do not worry about the plants growing back because they will, and in fact pruning the bush actually seems to have some benefits. It encourages the plants to grow bigger, and it did feel like there were some more flowers on some of my bushes after pruning, so definitely recommend doing it. And this point definitely applies to some of the climbing plants too. I cannot tell you how hard I tried with the jasmine. Until I started pruning it, it did seem to trigger them to grow. You do have to be super careful with the plants that require some form of trellis or fence because they do actually need to latch onto it. I found that I had to put it really close to the fence itself to make it grow, and there isn't any clear guide to say that it has taken to the fence. But if you do find it not working, either try pruning it, digging the plant and moving a bit. Just have a little play around and it shouldn't take too long to grow. I would also say that if your plant isn't growing and you're really confused, double check the conditions in the book because it might surprise you. It might actually be a plant that requires a trellis to grow. If your plant isn't a trellis plant and it's still not growing, I would say pick it up, move it around, maybe dig it using a shovel and see if that triggers it, because sometimes some plants seem to be slower than others at growing without any clear explanation, so it might just be a bug. If you do have some plants that need pruning and they also have a seed ready for collection, you can actually just chop that particular flower, and that seed and the flower itself will be transferred to your inventory, so it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. You will also notice that there are seasons in this game, but this is generally aesthetic, so you can keep farming without fear of your plants and flowers dying or having to wait a whole new season to plant another flower, which is a nice break from some other farming simulators that we've had. The seasons do, however, affect the decorations available in the shop, so if there is something you want to stock up on, do it before the season changes. I have already mentioned the fertilizer, but your fertilizer bin is so important. I would keep this going at all times, and fertilizing your crops should definitely become part of your daily routine. It is going to up your production of flowers so much, so it's definitely worthwhile doing. If you are also someone that likes to have your plants organized, I highly recommend purchasing some of the planters from the shop. They can hold about 8 small plants, so they are great for things like daffodils and tulips. The planters also look cute and you can change their colors with the decorative brush. So by this point you may have flowers coming out of your ears. Well, as part of the story you will open up your own stall, and this is where you are going to make your most money, and I have a few tips for this too. You can sell single flowers, however bouquets seem to be where the real money is, and you can craft these from the workbench in your storage. When crafting, if your pockets get full, the bouquets or items will get auto-transferred to the decorative storage. So I found the best way to do this was fill my pockets with cuttings and flowers and then go on a crafting spree. Craft absolutely loads of items in one sitting, and then you can easily just go to your storage and grab them all out. You can also make multiple trips to the stall. If you fill up, there is multiple pages within the stall itself, so you can literally fill up one page, go to the next page and fill up another one, and then you'll be mega rich. Be a millionaire. You'll also find that you do fill up on seeds, and you can sell these also, but I would recommend keeping hold of some just in case, especially the rarer ones, the ones that you've just discovered, until you have a good stockpile. I do also recommend keeping hold of some cuttings just in case they are required for a side quest, and when you have it unlocked, familiarize yourself with what is required of the pavilion, because there are some rarer flowers that you might just need to kind of unlock, and completing the pavilion will definitely unlock some interesting prizes, which is fun. And one final thing before I go, you can buy soda from the soda machine next to the bus stop. It's such a cute little idea, and it's called Bloom Soda. You can't actually drink it, I don't think, but I would drink it if it was possible in real life. But you can place it down and decorate with it, which is nice. Put it on a table for someone to enjoy. So there are my gameplay kind of tips and little bits you should know about going into the game. If you have any tips for your fellow players, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Once I have experimented more with the decoration, I will definitely be sharing some more tips and tricks on that. Maybe I'll even do some builds because this game is super cute. I'm really enjoying it. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.